let's see what comes out. Oh, wow!
Looks lovely.
Buongiorno, I've made a few tiramisu on my channel and today I want to do something different. My son recently moved out. We are going around for a meal tomorrow and his first meal in his new house, and I have decided to make a cream caramel tiramisu, something different, and I've never made it before, so again attempting something new, but let's see how it goes. The trick in making a good caramel sauce is taking time and do it patiently, and also cook it at medium to low temperature. This is 160 grams of sugar. Also, it is recommended to use a very heavy saucepan and use stainless steel. Do not use anything that is not sticky, otherwise they will crystallize. It is important that you do not burn the sugar, and otherwise the taste will be foul, and you need to mix it all the time. Also, if you're using gas or electric like me, medium to low, but if you're using induction, medium to high. I've got electric, so it's medium to low in my case. Number 4 I've got out of 9. And as I mentioned, I've never made it before, but I understand that within maybe 5 to 7 minutes it should start dissolving and becoming liquid. Okay, I have been mixing it solidly for nearly 4 minutes now, and I can see that it's beginning to caramelize. It's beginning to look more like wet sand. So I'll keep going and keeping my temperature on number 4 as it is looking promising. So everything is liquid now, and I'm gonna stop stirring it and I'll leave it to gently boil it. I'll turn it down actually to number 3 now for 1 minute, and the only thing I'll do, I'll just put a little bit more water on the sides to just clean the edges, and I'll gently make sure that it's nice and liquid, which it is. Perfect. I'll now remove it from the heat. I will add some butter and I will mix it while it's still off the hob. Once the batter has been absorbed and everything is of the same color, I will be adding also some fresh double cream, 125 milliliters, and make sure that it is at room temperature, just like the batter. I swapped the wooden spoon with a whisk, and everything is beginning to now combine together. Do not worry if you got the odd lump left over, because we will be going back on the hob. And there it is, it's back on the hob and it's beginning to boil very gently, and I'll leave it on its own now. I won't touch it for 1 minute. Great, I'll turn the heat off and I will remove it all together now. And that's it, it's done. I can see that there is the odd bit of crystal on the side, but I'm not gonna be worried about it. The color is pretty good though. And I'm adding now a little pinch of salt, one very final mix. Let's have a taste. Oh, delicious. And I'm now pouring it in a little jug. I will want this to be completely cooled down before I start mixing it in my tiramisu. And here is the final caramel sauce, which looks nice and smooth. Perfect. I've separated the yolk from the white of 4 eggs, and I'm now adding 4 level tablespoons of normal granulated sugar, 1 per egg. And I'll mix it all together. And I've mixed it until the sugar is totally absorbed, of course, but also the color will change into a much paler color. I've just cleaned and dried my whisks from the mixer, and I'll do exactly the same, but obviously without sugar, with the egg whites. And after approximately a minute and a half, this is what you should get, nice stiff peaks, and it's done. More fresh double cream, again this is at room temperature now. Clean whisks once again, and I go ahead and mix it. That's it, that's done. Try not to over mix it, otherwise it will become butter. I'm now adding a tub of mascarpone, 250 grams, to my mixed double cream. And I'll start folding it using a spatula this time. I'm now going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract and a splash of Marsala. Marsala is a fortified wine. You can use any fortified wine. You can also use port if you like, or brandy or rum, entirely up to you, or no wine at all. And I'll fold it together. I'm now adding my beaten egg. This is the egg yolks, followed by the whites. In some tiramisu recipes, the egg white is not used, but I want to give this particular cake a nice and fluffy feel, so I decided to make use, otherwise it will go to waste anyway, so might just as well. I'll give it an initial mix with the spatula to see what it's like, and I'll finish the job using my whisks. And that's it, job done. Carry on mixing until you get a nice smooth consistency. That is okay. My caramel has cooled down. It's only just lukewarm really, so I'm happy that it can be added to the cream now. And if you look, it's got a nice gooey consistency. This will change the color of the sauce, but also it will thicken it up considerably. And I will not be whisking this, I just gently fold it with my spatula, like this. And I'm almost ready to start putting my cake together, and these are sponge fingers, or they're called also lady fingers, and I'm chopping them in half using a knife very gently. I go along and I cut them diagonally so that I can use both ends, and I score them very gently with a knife, and then I go along and split them in half using my fingers. If you can get hold of bigger lady fingers, it would be much easier, but I cannot find them, so I'm using these. Yeah, that's fine. This is not ideal, but this is the sort of outcome you're looking for. Baking tin, even if we're not going to be using an oven, but because this one has got a clip and it'll be easier to take it out later. I've made some coffee. This is decaffeinated granular coffee. I've made it very, very weak because I don't want the taste to be about the coffee, more about the caramel really, but clearly coffee goes very well with it. And a very quick dip, literally in and out from the coffee, and I'm gonna be placing the lady fingers against the edge of the tin so that by the time it's finished, it'll be a nice round circle. And I've just completed the first circle. These are not going to be visible, so the filling in the middle, I'm just putting them in hole as best as I can. And as you would expect, as I was chopping my biscuits, I produced quite a lot of crumbs, so I'm going to be sprinkling them at the base. More important for the base rather than the next layer, because clearly this is where most of the weight will be. And if you've got any little gaps like this, just go in with any piece and fill it. And using my hand, I'm making sure that everything is nice and compact. Make sure that you do not put too much coffee, by the way, because you want especially the base to be nice and firm. And like a normal tiramisu, I'm now going to be adding my cream, and this is quite gooey because of the caramel, but I'll put maybe 4 big spoons to start with and see where it takes me. Let's have a look. I think I'll put 1 more. Perfect. I can now move on to the next layer, and I will repeat exactly the same process. Layer number 2 done. Oh, look at the color of the caramel. It looks really good. And I'm now going to add my 5 scoops of cream. I'm really liking this. There's some bits of caramel floating, which aesthetically is very nice to look at. And this is my last and final layer, number 3, completed as well. So I'll put maybe 4 this time. I think there is a bit too much there. And I'll do 1 final spread to ensure that all of my biscuits are properly covered by cream. I was wrong, I think there is space for 1 more. I'll give it a little wiggle with my hands to ensure that it sets nicely. And generally I would put some cocoa, bitter cocoa on top of tiramisu, but I think it's going to be too strong in this case. I want the flavor and taste of the caramel to be the predominant taste, but some chocolate is definitely needed, so I'm putting some milk chocolate chips, just enough to make it also look good. Of course, if you want to put cocoa on top, entirely up to you, or you don't have to put anything. I'm sure that it'll taste just as nice. And Julie's just arrived, and she has spotted.
I smelt dessert.
She has spotted that there was a little cream left over, and you can guess it. She's made a suggestion, so there we go again. It's a bit of deja vu, this, isn't it? But what I'll do this time, instead of dipping them in the coffee, I will just add them in as they are first, the biscuits, after a little cream, sprinkle of chocolate chips, and I'll go in with a spoon and just a little coffee, not a lot again, just enough to make it very gooey.
To make it what?
Gooey.
Gooey. Oh.
And I'll carry on until I run out of ingredients. I'm gonna go in with my spoon now and mix everything together. Second layer of coffee. A quick wipe with some kitchen roll to make it more presentable.
Have we got to wait for these to set in the fridge, or are we just going to go for it? Well, I don't know that I can wait for them to set in the fridge. Maybe half an hour.
And 1 last layer of chocolate chips so that they are at the very, very top. They're ready. Julie wanted to eat them straight away, but we have compromised. 30 minutes in the fridge and then we can eat them.
Yeah.
With this one, I will be popping it in the fridge overnight, as we are eating it tomorrow with my son. But I will leave it overnight in the fridge, as I said, and then tomorrow morning I'll pop it in the freezer for 1 hour, and then that will help solidify a little bit more, so that I can take the container off, the tin off, and hopefully it will look superb. So I'll see you tomorrow morning. Ciao ciao. And buongiorno, I'm back, and literally 24 hours after, and has been an hour in the freezer, as I mentioned. By the way, you do not have to do the freezer bit. I'm doing this because I want to make sure that it doesn't fall apart when I remove the tin. So it's very much my choice to do it today.
A little prayer first.
A little prayer, and actually before I do that, maybe I should see what it's like. I did try earlier to see if it was necessary to go in the freezer. As you can see, I've attempted, but it didn't look good, so I decided to stick to the original plan. So I'm going to be scoring it on the edge to ensure that I don't spoil it. And as I mentioned, of course you can make this in a normal glass dish. This is me trying to be a little bit creative with the shape. And very gently I'm going to be releasing my clip, very gently, and it's looking like it's retaining its shape. And I'm now going to lift it. It doesn't like it.
Is it fully released?
Let's have a look. I think it's because it's gone in the freezer. There we go. And gently I'll lift it, and let's see what comes out. Oh, wow.
Looks lovely.
Talking of freezers, by the way, you can freeze tiramisu. You might not be aware of it. If you were to make a big portion like this and you want to keep some for later, my suggestion is that you cover with some cling film, or put it maybe in a plastic container, even better, and put it in the freezer. And then when you defrost it, put it in the fridge and let it defrost overnight, and that will be just perfect. Or you might actually chop it into slices and freeze them individually, and then
That's a
you
good
just,
idea. Then you can grab a piece every time you get the munchies.
we don't need to freeze ours because
No.
I don't think I'll last.
No,
But,
no need.
As a little tip, okay? And as I mentioned before, I've done this because I just wanted to give an hour to set properly. This morning I did look at it and it looked okay, but I wanted to play safe.
Oh, it looks lovely. In our defence, we won't actually eat all this. We will leave some for my mum and our son and his girlfriend.
Even as we're not that biggies.
No.
I'm going to leave the bottom of my tin there because obviously I need to transport it, but I'm going to be doing a thumbnail in a moment, so I'll put it into this lovely dish here. I'm not going to taste it. However, we did actually taste the ones I made in the glasses yesterday. and
Delicious,
they were
everybody.
absolutely delicious.
Absolutely delicious.
One thing I'll say, it's a kind of a creative twist on the traditional recipe. The addition of the caramel provides an extra element of sweetness. And if you want to try and make it, and you're not too sure how does it go with the mascarpone and the coffee, treat yourself to a coffee and caramel ice cream. One of those sacrifices that we all have to make in life. And then you'll see what I mean. It goes really well. The mascarpone and the coffee complements the caramel, or should I say the caramel complements the mascarpone and the coffee incredibly well, and the taste is absolutely spot on. Really nice.
Lovely.
So I hope you make it. And if you do like my recipes, if you like my cooking and everything else, please subscribe. It's fun, and you will help me grow in the channel and reach other people, and see how it goes. Arrivederci, and thank you for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.